this is Andre. We're going to keep looking at playing a loop's pitch melodically in Ableton Live using a Max for Live device created by Kaiser. In the previous video, we looked at getting this technique up and running, along with some initial ideas on how to apply it. This video is different because we're going to explore overdubbing new layers into a loop while manipulating its pitch using the techniques we've already looked at. And that, in turn, opens up a pretty big can of worms. Now, half speed is a pretty common live looping technique, so if you've been looping for a while, you've probably played with changing the loop's speed in the middle of an overdub. This creates octave jump effects where the pitch of an overdub changes because the loop changed speed during the overdub. This can be a trippy effect, but it's also a fairly inside sound because even though you're changing octaves, you're not actually changing the pitch class of the note you overdub. In other words, if you overdub a C, it's still going to play back as a C, though it might be an octave above or below where you originally played it. But when you overdub while changing the loop's pitch chromatically outside of simple octaves, you enter a space where an overdub could play back at a totally different pitch class. So the C that you overdubbed could come back as a C, but it could also be one of the other 11 pitch classes that we have in 12-tone equal temperament. This has a lot of implications, but the main one for this video is that if you're not careful, you can get some very dissonant sounds happening very quickly. Now, there's a huge realm of potential to use these kinds of chromatic speed changes for very considered arrangements, making very careful use of specific overdubs at specific loop transpositions to produce compositions that are extremely focused and potentially very consonant and inside. That's absolutely not what is happening in this video. I'm basically throwing stuff against the wall and seeing what happens. Now, for me, this particular combination of techniques means that when stuff does hit the wall, it lands in ways that are very different and new to me. Personally, I really like being surprised by what happens and hearing my playing come back in significantly different ways. I also have a fairly big appetite for dissonance in general, so I guess the point I'm trying to make here is that the approach in this video is very randomized and, frankly, quite messy a lot of the time. That does not mean that this kind of technique is only good for creating a dissonant mess, but it does mean that in order to avoid that kind of thing, we need to approach these tools in a more considered way than we might be used to. I'm not opposed to doing that kind of thing myself, but again, that's not what's going on here. Your mileage may vary though, and one of the main reasons for doing these videos in the first place is to see what other people can do with more obscure looping techniques. As always, thank you very much for tuning in. Now, let's say that we want to overdub new stuff onto this loop. So if we press overdub and get ready to do that, look at what's going to happen. Overdub is on, but now overdub's off. That's because with these retrigger clips, the beginning of each clip has a play command. There's a stop command at the very end of the clip, and then at the beginning of the clip, there's a play command. That means that if you do overdub the normal way, it's only going to last for as long as the clip length. So right now, this is a retrigger every 2 bars, which means every 2 bars it's going to go back to play. So to offset that, we also have some overdub clips that send the overdub command right after the downbeat. So you effectively keep going into overdub after each new instance. So let's do a little overdubbing. Come out of overdub. Let's turn the arpeggiator off. And let's check out some different pitches. And some of those intervals are pretty strange because we were overdubbing in the original key, but sometimes the pitch was changed, which meant that the overdubs play back at a different note than what we played when you changed the pitch of the loop. So let's do this. Let's retrigger every bar. Let's have overdub every bar. And let's bring feedback down so we can get some development going. And let's arpeggiate all over the place. Bring feedback back up. Come out of overdub. Oh, come out of overdub. That means we have to turn off the overdub clip. There we go. Now let's see how this sounds on different pitches. Let's retrigger every 2 bars. Let's turn the arpeggiator back on. Speed up the rate. Let's turn off the retrigger. So now it's going to drift a little bit. So now you can hear it's not looping in exactly the same place each time. And let's overdub a little more. This is probably going to get pretty dissonant, but that's okay. Bring feedback down. Let's get some slightly more quote-unquote inside pitches. So this is just octaves of the original pitch. Feedback back up. Let's reverse. Actually, no, I like the sound of that. Now let's reverse. I think we're in B now. And let's get some root and fifth happening. Increase the arpeggiator speed. Increase it some more. Let's retrigger every bar. Turn off overdub. And let's randomize the arpeggiator. Let's see what happens if we bring feedback down and overdub at that kind of tempo. So that's our one note being overdubbed. Let's slow that way the heck down. And bring feedback back up. Reverse. Retrigger every 2 bars and turn off overdub. Reverse the loop. Let's slow the arpeggiator way down. Put kind of a progression in there. Retrigger every bar. And reverse. retrigger every 2 bars. Let's just do some really low stuff. In fact, let's do some really low stuff. And speed up the rate. Every 1 bar. Every 4 bars. Reverse the loop. I like it better backwards.